From the digital world to your world, it's the Kevin Gill Show.
Killer Kross.
I grew up on a dead-end street as a dead-end kid in New York, actually. I didn't have a Brady Bunch story with a family. Everyone was all together under one roof and everything. That was certainly not the case. Parents separated when I was little. So my father was living in the city periodically. My mother was living in the state. I think the city was a little too dangerous for us at the time. That was the old New York.
Sure. The old New York as prophesized on vinyl by Agnostic Front.
Right. I mean, it was just like, Escape from New York after 10 p.m., like a lot of strange, crazy people.
And to be a woman and a child or children, you know what I mean? That's vulnerability.
Yeah. My father was training fighters, too, so he was always in bad neighborhoods because that's where the best fighters come from.
Yeah, and the cheapest rental space to train those fighters.
100%.
Train and in some cases house.
Yes, he was fighting, too, and I had a very violent upbringing, and not necessarily towards me, but I was always involved with sports combat, martial arts, and just growing up in the New England culture. I mean, that's what it was. So that's kind of where I came from, and I don't even, not to be melodramatic, sometimes I think it's a miracle, and I've even been told it's a miracle from coming from a small town with a lot of really scary people. It's a bit of a miracle that I even made it this far. So I always kind of count my blessings. I never really try to lose track of that.
For sure. Now, and when did you first start doing martial arts, jiu-jitsu training, all of this sort of thing? When did that first start?
My family had me doing freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling even when I was a little kid. So when my father was training people, I wasn't very far either hitting a heavy bag, or doing my roles on the collegiate mats and stuff like that.
And this is like being with daddy at work, so to speak, and then how cool is his work? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And at the time, let me tell you, it didn't feel very cool because it felt like a chore. But as I grew up and I started to have a greater understanding of the world and how things actually work, I began to really learn the value of what I was learning and what I was being brought up in, very much like how parents sometimes put their kids in a sport that they can't stand because it feels monotonous. And I don't know, every kid I ever knew growing up, except for man, I don't even know. I feel like everyone even who played soccer hated soccer. It was like, all right, run up and kick the ball. There it goes. Chase it. Kick it again. It's about to go in. Nope, the goalie kicked it back. Go chase it again.
45 minutes later, here comes the ball again.
Yeah, and that's how I grew up with combat sports. It was like, okay, work on your jab 5,000 times and don't throw your right. Or with wrestling, it's like keep working on your shot, but don't ever take anybody down. It's like, what the hell is going on? And then you realize basics kill. And that was...
What was the first... Did you have a first discipline or style that you focused on outside of once you got past the generalized training as a child, once it became more formal training?
I wanted to do what I was watching all the action heroes do, like Van Damme and everyone. Everyone wanted to be Jean-Claude Van Damme at that time growing up. Everyone just wanted to be able to kick somebody in the head. And I remember, my family, New Yorkers and whatnot, I was just like, oh, Dad, teach me how to kick. Why do you want to learn how to kick? And it's like, well, because that's cool. He's like, yeah, well, that's not real, okay? That's not real. You want to learn how to kick somebody, go to a karate school or something. I don't know. I can teach you how to punch people and strangle people. It doesn't leave marks. That was that mentality, It's
right.
like, this guy wants to walk around kicking people. What the hell's wrong with him? What do you want to kick somebody for? And then when I got really good at it, I started studying Shotokan and Kyokushin, and then eventually I moved on to Valley Tudo with the Shute Box camps up in Canada, and all different kinds of stuff. He was like, hey, where do you kick somebody in the leg so they can't walk anymore? Just show me.
Where's the spot? Show me the pressure point that I could just kick someone with the side of my foot and just shatter their ankle.
Yeah, he'd be like, just explain to me how to check a kick. This guy kicked me the other day. It didn't hurt, but I didn't like it. Okay, I didn't like it, but I just want to know how to check the kick. It was funny. It was real funny how we did a full spin on that. So it was cool. So it was basically Kyokushin that was kind of like my chosen passion martial art, I suppose. And I really enjoyed it. And then went on to freestyle kickboxing and Muay Thai.
What up, everybody? Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the Kevin Gill Show, your PMA Power Hour. The Kevin Gill Show is a place where we talk to people who are positive, people who are mental, and people who have attitude. You'll get to know some of your favorite people from the worlds of music, video games, and pro wrestling a little bit better. And you'll also get introduced to some new people you should know. The Kevin Gill Show is brought to you in part by DignifiedBastard.com.